Welcome to the Why Music podcast, where we talk to independent artists about their journeys, the inspirations behind their music, and ultimately why they make music. This next artist is a Tennessee based folk rock storyteller. Closing the gap between humanity and music, he wears his music on his sleeve. Still riding the wave of his latest project, he's creating a unique space with every track he writes. Welcome, Chase.
Thank you very much. Uh, you've got me blushing.
um, I always like to start with where your music journey all started.
Yeah, okay. So for me, it sort of goes back to there's like a bunch of little starts, right? So whenever I was very small, I'd say probably like 4 or 5, just starting to, kind of talk, I was always singing, and my dad was a worship leader. So he was also always singing, and so just around music all the time. And, one of my favorite artists, believe it or not, was, Scott Stapp of Creed, and I thought he had the coolest voice in the world, and I was like, "I'm gonna sound like him." So I would literally walk around the house. I have 2 older brothers, and I'd be like, they'd be like, "Can you please stop?" They'd beat me up. They were, like, so tired of it. So I was always singing, and then, probably like, mm, 10, 11, I got into dance, and so I started dancing. I loved, like, Gene Kelly and Michael Jackson, and so I was just, like, always looking for outlets. I was always sort of like, um, an artist. I did painting, I did that sort of thing, and then I was like, "Oh, let's do dance." So I did that for about 9 years. I was a cavalier, which is like a male ballerina. And then mingled in between there, I did some, like, theater camps and some, like, community theater shows. Uh, and the first time I auditioned for one of the camps, I got a lead role, and I was like, "This is amazing." Like, I got the stage, I got the eyes, people are looking at me, and so I really loved that. But then I realized, man, I do not like learning lines at all. Like, I'm not good at it, I don't enjoy it. I would wait I would wait far too long to get the lines down. Um, but then so the big shift happened whenever I was about not even about, I was 16 years old, it was on my birthday that I got my first piano. And that's the day I wrote my first song. And since then, I've just had this dream of doing music. I love music, I love writing, I love it, yeah. So I would say it really started me pursuing this passion as something like or maybe not even pursuing it, but, like, more focused on what sort of type of expression I want to do since I was 16.
What was it about writing your first song that kind of made you fall in love with not only just the writing, but the idea of being your own artist?
The fact that I could do it. Um, there's something that's I'm sure that you can relate to, but, like, whenever I was younger, I could do about anything, right? I'd put a smile on, I played baseball, I played soccer, I danced for 9 years, like, you can do, about anything you put your mind to, but whenever I was writing, uh, uh, it felt like I was doing the right thing, like, it felt like I was like, "Oh, I can do this," because it's just completely from me, it's not like somebody's telling me to hit the ball to third base. It's like I'm doing it. I'm the person who is sort of moving this where it needs to go. And that's like very empowering. And I think important for everyone to be able to feel, whether it's songwriting or accounting, like you have to know it's just good to feel confident about what you're doing.
No, 100%. I mean, there is it's like one of those when you know things where it's just like
Yeah.
it's not until you're
Yeah.
like doing the thing that you're like, oh, like this is what the right thing is supposed to like feel like, and what you're this is what
Yes.
this is how this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Agreed. And
yeah,
it's
no,
special.
oh, 100%. That's what makes, especially like in a creative space, that's what makes it all the much more like personal and special is that it's,
Oh yeah.
it's just something like it's, since it's a creative thing, it's just completely from you.
Yeah.
What do you find most often inspires your writing?
That's such a good question. Um, so I would say I have a wonderful family. I love my family. But I have a sibling who is adopted, and that sibling has um, a lot of issues that uh, affected us. From before we adopted her, it was brought over, and so I needed an outlet. And now I have used it as a very powerful, so powerful. It's so powerful. Way to just express what I'm going through. Um, Whether that was whenever I was 16 years old and trying to figure out like why is my why is my little sister hurting so much? And now to, I mean, life is so difficult. I'm a grown man. Like, how do you do this stuff? I'm sure you
Yeah,
can relate to that. But just I think the thing that really inspires me is difficulty and um, challenge and adversity. Like whenever I face those things, I can throw my hat in, or I can just try and address it. I can just go straight in on it because I know that I have the tool to do that now. So like, it's just inspiring for me, and I'm sure you could probably hear that from my writing. It's not super jaunty all the time. Like, it's just so good for me, at least for my sake, to be able to go into those things head first. And then can I also add something that isn't a part of the
absolutely.
question there?
Yeah,
So recently, something that I've been really challenging myself with is like, okay, well, it doesn't always need to be like a trauma response to try and address something deeper. As a songwriter and as somebody using this as his career, I've been realizing like, oh, I need to push myself. I don't need to write songs that I like. I don't need to write songs that address this thing within me. I can use this skill that I've been, you know, fostering since I was 16 and try and like write songs for other people or even write songs for me that I don't necessarily think are relevant to my life, you know?
hmm. No, and that's, I mean, oftentimes it does start from a place of personal experience and a place of self-expression, but it often, you can only write about yourself and like what's
Yeah.
going on in your life so much. If you want to be writing like on a more frequent basis, you're going to run out of material at some point. So you kind of almost
A
have to
lot. Yeah. You
expand
don't
to
have
the
too much
world
to work
around
with.
you. Yeah. Nobody's life is that interesting, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, no,
After a
and
while, it just gets sad and it's like, okay, I need to move on.
it's okay. We've been sitting on this for a little bit too long. We need to bring something else into the mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's always interesting when you not even even if it's not intentional in the way of like, oh, I'm writing this about so and so's life right now, or like something I witnessed, or something
Yeah.
someone told me about, or anything like that. But it's just like sometimes, at least I've had happen where I just like have written something that just kind of happened on accident, and I'm like, this doesn't have anything to do with my life. I don't know anyone that's living this experience right now. Where did this just come from? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just, you
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen. That's why I mean, songwriting is just storytelling.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
I mean, I can't help but think um, there's got to be something divine about it too. Because there have been times whenever I put something down on paper and I'm like, that doesn't pertain to me whatsoever, but it feels like I know that I feel moved by it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's really cool whenever you're just like, whenever you're in the zone and you're just like writing and something goes down and you're like, I know that I didn't just think of that. It's just I definitely think there's like a level of divine inspiration.
Yeah, it sometimes it's just like, where did those words just come from? Because
Yeah,
I don't know.
not
So,
I.
if you had to create a new genre around your style of music, what would you call it?
That's a fun question. If I had to create a new genre around my style of music, uh, um, I actually came up with a word with a friend not too long ago. Literally, that was like the new genre if I was making it.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what it is, but it was so funny. I'm gonna just kind of mill over that and try and figure that out. Well, I would say it's kind of folky. I feel like my writing is a little bit, and now by no means am I comparing myself to Paul Simon, but I feel like it's a little bit like Paul Simon. Again, he is I'm not comparing. He's so good, but I'm inspired by him. I don't know, fun-ish and sad-ish. Maybe that would be the genre.
Sad, fun folk.
Yeah, sad, fun folk.
Yeah, I mean, the folk is definitely there.
Yeah,
Whatever else you put into it is just like a
it's
further
kind of interesting.
classification.
I'm not sure if you picked up, but like the music in the
Mm-hmm.
record is not very, like it's not like, oh, you can't pin one song, or you can pin one song, but if you put them all together, it's like, yeah, this is kind of not the same as the last one that I listened to. Like instrumentally, if you listen to She Stood Shoulder Height,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a jaunty country song, even like old country, but then you listen to Two Left, you're like, there's no way that this is on the same record. So I definitely hop between genres,
Mm-hmm.
and for a long time I was sort of insecure about that because on my first record, Selfish, it was the same thing. It was like, the first song was rock, the second song was like jazz, the third song was an acoustic track, the second song was southern rock, and then the last song was, I don't even know what, something like pop. And it's like, for a young artist, that sort of, that makes sense, right? You're sort of exploring. And
Right.
with this next record, or my most recent record, Cardianiac, I was sort of struggling with that. Like I want it to all sound cohesive. Um, but there's also that part of me that's like, yeah, it can be cohesive and also differ in style. And like I don't need to be one style to get my point across of what I'm trying to say. And so for me, I think the bouncing between genres, although I'm sure I'm going to keep fleshing that out,
Mm-hmm.
um, is sort of important to me for being able to bounce between ideas and sort of give the words musically the weight that I want, you know?
100%. I think something I've noticed too is like, I think the way we see our own work, we see it as very different um, from one piece to the next.
Yeah,
Like one song to the next, it looks so much different because we know every nook and cranny of the track. But if you look
yeah,
at it, like if you're an outside eye or an outside ear, really looking at it, you can you can see it more as a collective work because you told me it was a collective work. You're telling me, oh,
yeah,
this is something that all goes together. So I think like because like I've listened to your latest project top to bottom, and to me it sounds rather cohesive, not in a like, oh, they all sound
thanks.
the same kind of way, but in a like these fit together kind of way. But as the person who created it, you see it as more of like, I kind of just put these together. Maybe they don't, there's some sense of flow, but they kind of, they're all that different. And it's like, I think it's one of those things where we're our own biggest critic on that. And again, it's,
Yeah.
every piece and ounce of the track, so you can hear all the variances a lot more clearly than someone who listens to it for the first time.
That is very true. I am I am a harsh self-critic.
Aren't we
Um,
all?
but thanks for listening to it.
Of course.
I think you're absolutely right. I have I have listened to that record. That record has been done for almost a year, but I didn't release it until now. So I've listened to it over 100 times, and, like, you know this feeling too, where you just
Mhm.
listen to some of your songs over and over and over again. By the end of it, you're like, "I made the worst music I've ever heard." But after giving it some space, I was like, "Oh, man, I'm really proud of myself." So, thanks
Yeah.
for listening, yeah.
Of course. No, the thing that I've gone through, especially this year, is I like the song. I love hearing it, especially when it's like first mixed and mastered and everything, and I'll put together and
Mhm.
I'll listen to it for a while. And then as soon as it's out, and I don't know if it's just the time frame from when I like first finish it to when it's out, but as soon as it's out, I'm like, I don't want to listen to it anymore. The first song that I
Yep.
did this year that's on my album, I was like, I haven't listened to it in a long time because I was like, I just can't. I can't. It's dead to me now. Like now that it's out there,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I can't. It doesn't sound
I
good to
can't
me
do it.
anymore.
Please don't
It
make me,
always
yeah.
sounds so much better when you get the like first when you get the first listen of what is like the final draft, and it's like
Yes.
this is the peak moment. I'm not gonna love it
Yep.
as much as I love it right now, and
Yes.
it just goes downhill from here. So
So you have to make sure that you love it in that moment, for sure.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, once you listen after that, it's just like you start picking it apart, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's tough, but because then and especially once it's out, it's like, oh, like I could have done this differently. I wish this would have been a little bit different. Like it's like we could be here
yeah,
for years rewriting the same song, but we're
yeah,
not going to do that. We're just going to let it exist in the world in its current state because we
100%.
deemed it to the standard. So,
Yeah.
uh, is there a song that you've written that you think best embodies who you are as an artist? We have one song to show somebody to make them a fan of yours or make them want to listen to more.
Mm,
What one song do you show them?
that's a great question. Um, Fine. Huh, that's a great question, Ava. I would probably say "Released," right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, I'm playing.
for the public here.
Um, I that's tough because I feel like it all sorta, ties it together. Probably Probably my song "Strawberry Wine" off of my first EP.
She's smooth like strawberry wine, with her sweet face, her wild taste. She's in my mind. She knocks me off my feet, pushes me to my knees. She's got me begging please, 'cause she's smooth like strawberry wine. With her sweet face, her wild taste, she's in my mind. I can't dance, I can't walk.
If not, if that's not your thing, I would say off of the new record, um, Anything Can Happen.
Cross my heart and hope to die. Whatever that means, I don't know why. Hope I end up in your lullaby. Wish that I knew how we all would end up in time. Wishing my shoes never come untied. Hoping to God that I live for a while. Looking forward to the dream. Still need to decide if I'll live it or sleep.
I think Anything Can Happen is my favorite song on there.
What
And
makes you
not
pick
just favorite song. It's my favorite because it resonates with me deeply.
Mm-hmm. And so do you think that that's a good kind of overarching representation of
No,
the rest of the stuff, or is it just your own personal bias?
it doesn't catch it all. None of my songs catch it
Well,
all.
I mean, that's hard to do. No song is going to be like you
Yeah,
hear this, you're gonna love everything else. That's just, there's nobody has. I mean, I like to think that there's no artist that you're gonna love every single one of their songs, like truly
yeah.
for what it is. So,
I think okay. So if I had to, let me reassess here. So if I had to pick a song that would be like, hey, if you like this, you're probably gonna like the rest of this guy's stuff.
mhm,
Uh, it probably would be the song Two Left, which is like the one that starts off ballady and then moves towards like almost punk uh at the very end. I don't know if you remember that. It's off of Cardiac.
mhm,
Um, I think that would probably be it because it has a couple different elements in it. It has the ballad part, which is like I was classically trained as a singer.
mhm.
Um, and so that it sort of let me really shine there vocally. And then the lyrics to that song are, I mean, if you decide to let the lyrics of that song and the music of that song affect you and touch you, I feel like um you're gonna like the rest of what I have.
Okay, so that's the more as much as we can get, all
Yeah,
encompassing kind of
yeah,
taste of what's to come.
yeah.
Okay.
A taste of Chase.
If you had to pick two or three artists that you think your music is like a combination of, who would you choose?
These aren't hard questions, but they are good questions that are making me think. Um, okay. I would say Nathaniel Rateliff, Kings of Leon, and Paul Simon.
Okay. What pieces of each
And
of those makes you want to say
yeah,
those three?
I think Nathaniel Rateliff is probably the most dominant, and his solo music. And I think it's just because he's a singer-songwriter who I have listened to for such a long time that his music inspires me to the level where I want to the way he's able to present ideas and feelings, I I aspire to present them that way. And then Kings of Leon, I think especially with my rock stuff, which I have another band called Electric Company, and we do sort of more that like rock, just sort of straight Southern rock. Um, but I think that a lot of my performance is similar to that energy. So like whenever I'm live, that's sort of the thing. But then I think for the Paul Simon portion of it, I think there's a tenderness to his music that isn't found in a lot of other music. Um, and I think that I have that tenderness um, in my writing and in my voice. I think that I'm able to carry uh, just even to like heavy songs. There's a certain amount of lightness to it that makes it not so heavy. So you can kind of bear the whatever I'm talking about. If it's sad, you can kind of bear it, you know?
Hmm. No, excuse me. That all makes sense.
Bless you.
Um, yeah, that all makes sense, and it all kind of pieces together to be, I mean, reflective of your stuff. So, what is an outside passion of yours that you feel impacts who you are as an artist?
So one of my favorite things to do is to draw, um, and just like doodle, sketch. And I think that that little hobby of mine, or maybe even just tick, I don't know, uh, it opens up. Oh yeah, it opens up like a creativity door. So if I'm ever not feeling like I'm stuck on this song, I don't know what to write next, I keep on repeating the same line and I can't get over that line, I'll just start doodling. And a lot of times that'll just open up the door to sort of move forward with the song and like just be free. Um, I wouldn't say that that necessarily impacts me as an artist, but I do think that it sort of shows me that I'm able to push through as an artist. Just like keep going. Like you're not bound to this one medium. You
Mhm.
don't have to write words. You can write scribbles and you're still and I'm still doing what I feel like I was made to do, right? Like I'm still
Mhm.
creating something.
Yeah, I mean, creation knows no bounds. There are a lot of
Yeah,
people that it's like, if you're immersed heavily into one space in the creative world, odds are there's at least been a dabblement in these other spaces. Whether it continues or
100%.
not, that's to each their own. But like, it's never just one thing. It
Yeah.
never can be. You can't do. There's no limit. So like, why
No,
would there be?
you can't be stuck to one thing. That's
No,
like that wouldn't work. And then I
no.
think one more thing that is I don't know if it's a hobby or more of like a just a way that I live that affects me
Hmm.
as an artist, but I think that like being outside is very much so influential for me. Uh, uh I just moved to Arkansas actually. You said that I was a Tennessee musician. I just moved unfortunately. Um but uh the environment out there. Like whenever I lived in Memphis, I lived in downtown Memphis and I'd walk the city. Like it carried me through my 4 years of college there. And then after I graduated, it carried me through my 3 years of living as an adult for the first time on my own. And like being able to just intentionally spend time outdoors, even if that's in the concrete jungle, right? Like I still was able to um sort of create this part of me that's just like always yearning. Like if I'm inside, I don't feel like I'm where I should be. Like it's not whenever I go outside, it's fulfilling. I don't know, it's something about the trees and the green. Like it's good for my heart, my mind. But now that I live in Arkansas, I live on like I wouldn't even say a farm, but it's kind of like a farm. It's like this massive space, tons of acreage, and I just go outside and sit. Like the other night, there was this incredible lightning storm. Um, and it was like the whole sky. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was just like lighting up for over an hour and a half. And I think if there's anything that I do daily that really influences me as an artist, it would be spending time outside and just taking in the beauty of what is around us every day.
I mean, nature in itself can be a great source of any sort of inspiration. I mean, I mean, what's really cool about it is that it's nature, it's natural. Like those things are just happening. Like I all the time like
Yeah.
would walk around my neighborhood and I'd be like, I don't get how trees are this big. Like I
Yeah,
just don't like how are they that just like
they're
something that's like a
massive.
living thing is just that massive. Like it's
So
insane.
so that picture on or my cover for Cardianiac, it's a cloud,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I took that picture on my iPhone in front of a CVS. Like I think that clouds are the coolest thing. Not to sound like I'm not crazy, right? But I love nature. It's so inspiring and then like trees, they're so big, clouds are so big, but then what really gets me is the colors, how vibrant the natural colors in the natural world are. And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, my phone's colorful, but have you seen that tree
Like
outside? You
really,
know?
yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Um, what is the ideal listening scenario for someone to consume your music in?
Ideal listening scenario. I would say that the ideal listening scenario for anyone to consume my music in is um to be gracious, first off, but then also just to like want to listen. I don't think it's very good background music all of the time. Um, I think that I first off, of course, everybody wants, especially artists, appreciate attention and like to like I'm singing, like
Hmm.
I'm saying something, and so I want people to listen, obviously. I hope that doesn't make me sound super selfish, but it's just true. Like
Right.
in a not like I'm telling them the keys to life. Like I'm 24 years old. So by no means am I saying you have to listen to these important things that I have to say, but it's like hopefully you'll relate and hopefully whenever you listen you're in a place where you feel like you can feel this. Like I don't think that it's bound to any particular place. If you're on a hike though and you want to listen to my tunes, you might have a good time. But I think that it's more so about where the listener is um, in regards to themselves, you know? Like, what do they want out of it? That was a
No,
super heady answer, but sorry.
it makes sense because I mean, you can put anything on in the background, but not everything will really serve as background music. It's just
Yeah.
it is something it's more of an intentional listen. Which I feel like is it's one of those things where it's not like, oh, like this type of music is always like that. Like this is the type of music that you want to like listen to rather than just put on, but
Yeah.
it this is the like this is that answer, but it's not like because it's a certain type of music, if that makes am I making any sense?
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
because oh it's this genre or it sounds like
It's like,
this. It's
did you
just
ever, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you're good.
I was gonna just say, have you, like, whenever you were a little kid, or I guess even now, whenever I was a little kid, my dad would always be like playing music in the car, and my brothers and I would be talking or yelling or whatever. and the instrumentation would play, and if we were still talking, he would whenever the lyrics came in, he'd be like, "Guys, stop, like, you gotta stop talking, like, I wanna listen to the words." And, like, I mean, I think that definitely had an effect on me even as an adult. But now I'll, like, listen to, uh I did this the other day. I listened to a Kings of Leon song. I forget which one it was. I think it was Tonight. Um, and they have this sick riff coming in, and then it's lyrics, but a car honked the horn as soon as, uh, the lyrics came in. And I was like, "Ugh, are you kidding me? I gotta restart this so I can get the whole effect." I mean, I probably missed like a millisecond, right? But
Yeah.
had to go back. And so hopefully people feel that way about my music, but yeah, it's kind of that thing. Like I want to hear what that person has to say.
No, it's like when you're like on your way home and you're like just starting a new song and you're like you just do an extra lap around the block before you go to your
Yes.
actual
Yeah,
place to stop, just to finish the song.
absolutely.
So, um, what is it that you think sets you apart from other independent artists?
Well, I don't know all of them. So I can't speak for all of them, but
Hmm.
I think that I'm very well, I mean, that's not very different from many people. I was gonna say passionate, but I know other people are very passionate too.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think that my approach might be a little bit different to this. I'm married now, and I graduated college. For a long time, I was wanting to do this full time, and I still want to do it full time, but like my approach has changed. So I'm not so much trying to get that, like, I just need to get famous. Like, I really
Hmm.
wanted to be famous. I didn't even know what that really meant, honestly. And then I started to, as I was playing shows in Memphis on Beale Street, uh, as I started to like play a little bit bigger shows too, I quickly realized, like, you know, this is uh this is a thankless job until you perform and until you start to actually make money. And so I'm gonna stop trying to chase whatever, whether it's money, whether it's popularity, whether it's fame. Like, I gotta do this for the right reasons. And so for me, the right reasons, I believe, have to do with like my faith. I'm not trying to make this a faith thing, but I really feel like I feel like everybody was made, right? I feel like everyone was made by a divine creator. And I feel like you, just as much as I, have a gift to give. And, and for me, I think that mine is the ability to write and communicate through music. And I just want to share that. I don't, not because it's a special gift that if you hear it, you'll be blessed or whatever. Nothing crazy like that, but just like I feel like I was designed for this thing. And so if I am not doing it, I feel like I'm sort of going against my whole existence, you know?
Hmm.
And maybe you can relate, not even on a faith basis, but like if like you're a creative,
Hmm.
if you aren't doing that, who are you? And I think the answer is like you're not you, you know?
Right. No, it goes back to kind of what we touched on earlier. It's like everybody has their thing that
Yeah.
feels like what they're made to do and is
Yes.
probably is the thing that they are made to do. And
Yeah.
so like it's like, it's it's the don't like your job isn't your personality and your job isn't like you, but at the same time it's like your role in whatever it is, no matter how integral it is or what, it's like whatever you're doing it is a part of you though, because like what,
Yeah,
like it's that
absolutely.
act of doing the, like, it's like, there's a reason that you're doing this over doing something else, especially if
Yes.
it's something you want to be doing.
Yeah. And I think there's like for people that can do that and also take that risk of like I mean I know people who are accountants that hate their jobs, that hate their lives, that would rather be playing hockey. And it's like I mean not everybody can play hockey, right?
Right.
Not everybody can go pro in hockey.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. But like I don't know, join a league or something. Like
Hmm.
so a as an adult, something that I've been realizing is like, okay, well, this isn't really bringing in the money anymore, but I have got to keep going.
Hmm.
So I think maybe the thing that sets me apart is my resilience because I've gotten a lot of no's. I've gotten a lot of no's, Ava. And
Hmm.
like that's tiring and that's exhausting. And I'm sure you've gotten many no's. And it's like, that's fine. Like you gotta keep going.
Hmm.
I a couple weeks ago I auditioned for American Idol. It was like this really weird one-off. I got a text from uh, somebody that I knew in the industry, and they were like, "Hey, can you come do a private audition for XYZ?" And I was like, sure." He was like, "Cool, it's tomorrow at this time," and it was 4.5 hours away. And I was like, "Holy crap! Okay." So I go, I make it happen. I do the audition. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't botch the audition, but I definitely did do my best. I was
Hmm.
nervous. But the director wasn't able to get back to me because of something that had happened, uh, personally with him.
Hmm.
And so there was, like, this 2-week waiting period of, "Did I do it? Did I yada, yada, yada." And so I'll just go back a little bit, I'm sorry, I'm sorta stumbling over my words. Um, but so we were in the, like, waiting room, waiting for them to call us up, and the person who's sort of keeping the flow going comes in and is like, "Hey, just so you know, they're not gonna tell you today if you made it or you didn't." And, everyone was like, "Oh, crap. Like, why?" You know?
You
Do you
should
wanna go
know
back
right
through and listen?
away, right?
Yeah, like, just tell me yes or no, so I can move forward with my life. Um, and then the next person comes in that had just auditioned and was like, "I got a yes," immediately after the person said this. And we were like, "So they are." And, there was, like, a lot of deliberation about if they were and if they weren't, even though they did. And whenever after my audition, the director was like, "Thank you very much. I really appreciate you making the trip out here, and I hope you have a nice day. Nice to meet you, Chase." Whatever. And
Hmm.
I was like, "Okay, I didn't make it." But
Feels a little like a
there's
no, yeah.
yeah, it exactly. And then I get some texts from some other friends who were auditioning, and they were like, "I got a yes." And I was like, "Okay, so they're giving out the yeses, but they're not giving the nos. They're saving that for an email." And then my dad and my wife were like, "Well, there's still a chance. There's still a chance." And so as I'm driving back from this audition home, it's like a 4.5 hour drive. I just had a lot of time to think and be like, because I was devastated. I'll be honest, I was devastated. And I've auditioned for The Voice before. I've auditioned for a bunch of stuff before, and I've gotten a lot of no's. But this one was different because immediately I wasn't even told no. I just wasn't told yes. And I started to realize on the drive, I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna keep going. I'm going to keep singing. Like I don't know why no's affect me like that, but it can't anymore. And so I just had this like really cool, it was a quick turnaround. Typically it would be like 2 weeks of me being feeling sorry for myself, but
Hmm.
it was a really quick turnaround, maybe like 30 minutes. And then the rest of the way home, I was singing my heart out. So resilient.
Yeah, I mean, you can do what you want when it comes to getting no's. Obviously, no one wants a no. No's aren't your favorite
Yeah.
thing in the world. Like,
No.
You can apply to however many different things and get however many different no's. It gets a little bit easier as it goes on. You take a little step back when it's something maybe you really wanted or something you really thought you'd be like good for, or, something like that. But if hearing the no's is going to be something that really is like, oh, like that's it, like I'm done.
Throwing my hat in, yeah.
How bad did you really want it in the first place?
Yeah.
So that's the challenge part about it, is it's like you have to be willing to take all the no's that you're going to get, however many that may be, because the more no's you get, the better chance you have of getting a yes. There has to be a yes at some point, right? It can't just be no's forever. So you have to kind of play the odds almost.
Yeah, you do. And the other thing is, like, the reality is that I might get a no for the rest of my life from, like, artists don't make it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time they don't, right?
Right.
And, like, so what's the remedy for that? The remedy is that I have to say yeah. I have to keep going. I have to hear that and be like, "You're wrong. I'm gonna keep going." And, like, obviously, if somebody gives me, like, a critique, I'm I'm gonna be like, "Thank you. I need critiques." But,
Right.
like, no's don't cut it. And not everyone is gonna say yeah to you, so you have to say yeah. And that's sort of what I've been learning on this journey.
Yeah. If you can't say yes to yourself, you can't expect to get any yeses.
Yeah, right?
That's kind of what it boils down to.
Amen, sister. That's good.
What impact do you ultimately want to have with your music and with your artistry?
Mm. That's actually a tough question for me. I've recently been thinking about this, actually, because I applied for like a grant, like an artist grant,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about, like, what sort of organizations do you want to support with this? And I was looking through, like, a bunch of different artists. I was like, um, trying to find artists similar to me. Like, I was looking at Noah Can and, like, just similar vibe, right? And I was like, man, all these people seem to have, like, an organization that they're like, this is what my music is for. Um, or not even for, but, like, that's what money from my music goes towards, because that's what I'm in support of. And, like, I don't know, uh, I don't really have anything like that quite yet, right? But I think the biggest thing that I want my music to do is, like, I want it to affect people in a way that allows them to not be fearful of expression. Like, I think that, um, being able to march headfirst into, difficult, uh, turmoil, in your life is, like, so important. I was being tangential, but I want my music to affect people in a way that allows them to, feel understood and be able to express for themselves, um, what they're going through. And if they can, I hope that my music allows them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately a great thing to want, because it really is. It's just like music is an extension of some level of an emotional thing within yourself. It just has
Yeah.
to be. There's no music that's made without any ounce of emotion. And so
No.
then by extension, wanting that for the people that are consuming it, it's just like, basically, I want this to do for you what it's done for me.
Exactly.
And that's
Ding, ding, ding. You
that's
got it.
what's really cool about it, is because it can. It's like I write this
Yeah.
about something that
I mean,
I've
we're all
been
kinda
through. And
connected, so
yeah, the human experience
it's
is
like,
really just, it's kind of just a lot of different iterations of the same story at times. It's like we're
yeah,
all living the
absolutely.
same
It's saying something
experiences.
familiar in a new way.
Exactly. 100%. Um, I think that brings us to the final question, which is ultimately, why music?
I sort of hit this a little bit. Um, I think the answer to that question is uh, more complicated than this, but I have to. Um, I feel like that if I don't, not even I feel like, I know that if I'm not like doing what I was made to do. Um, there have been times in my life where I don't write, and in those times, I struggle with depression. But whenever I'm able to write, that's that's not there. That moves away. And so, uh, I mean, if that's not if that's not a reason why, it's like, like I feel like it's just a compulsion and like
Hmm.
it's something that needs to be let out. It's something that needs to be, once it's let out, harnessed. Um, and like taken care of, right? Like it's not just like I'm like trying to put a bunch of word barf on the paper. It's
Hmm.
like I need that to come out, but then I also want to be able to like take all of that mess that's in me and sort of like wrestle with it in a way that allows it to be formed into something beautiful, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the best way to put it is what you said is it's a compulsion. It's like it's not really necessarily a choice you're making. It's a choice obviously you're making to continue and to put time into and to pursue, but to create from the first standpoint, it's just
Mhm.
something that happens. It's not
Yeah.
often people just like are like, "Oh, like I'm going to start writing music." It's usually just something that just kind of falls into place and just happens naturally and just,
Yeah.
it's just an experience more than it is a choice, which is kind of the crazy thing about it is because it's like something that just sort of happens to you that you choose to follow through for all this time and it
Mhm.
just makes sense. It's like what was I
It
ever
just
doing
comes
before
out.
that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's always crazy whenever I'll be like, I don't know, walking, um, hanging out with friends, like eating, and I'll be like, uh, uh, Purple Turtle Tuesday, and I'll just like get like a phrase. Obviously,
Mhm.
it's never been Purple Turtle Tuesday, but that was the only thing that would come to my mind. Like,
Right.
and it's just like I have to write that down. Like, if I don't write
Right.
that down, I'll forget it. It's like, who cares if you forget that? It's Purple Turtle Tuesday. But
Yeah.
to me, and I'm sure to you, I'm sure you felt that. It's like I
Mhm.
need to write it down
Oh yeah.
because it's important, and I don't know why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was back home in Illinois this past week and was with some of my friends and I don't know what context it came up in, but one of my friends said like Central Time soulmate. And I was like, that could be a title or a lyric or something. And I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna
Yeah.
be, but I'm writing it down and it's sitting in my
Central Time
phone.
soulmate. That's funny.
I was like, I wonder what this is gonna turn into, but it's there for the using.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool. Yeah, exactly. It's that feeling. It's that like um and that's why I think it's like a little bit like divine and like supernatural because it's like where did that even come from?
right.
You know? Like I know my friend said it and I know that I was like I should write that down,
Hmm.
but the connection between the two like why should I write that down? I can
Right.
never answer that question. I
it's
can't. But
it's
it's like I
tricky.
know that I need to. So,
Right. Yeah. That's what's really weird about it is like literally like sometimes because I do all my writing either at the piano or behind a guitar and it's always like
mhm.
it's just like because I'm a musician first, so I'm just like playing through different things and the words just kind of come together on a whim most times and then from there it gets more intentional as things go on, but like when I'm
Mhm.
writing those like first few words it's like I can't tell you the last time I used that word. And now it's like in something that I just wrote. It's like, did I even really know what that meant? Or like what is happening here? It's just
Yeah.
like sometimes it's just because it's like the time that it would take you to really process the fact that you just thought of that is so much longer than it was just for that word to pop out in the first place. It's like,
Yeah.
this really just kind of happens, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know, it's
Kind of magic.
like how much of this is really me and how much of it is really just something happening like through my brain, you know?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. I think that brings us to the end of this episode of the Why Music podcast. Check back again next week for another conversation with another independent artist. Thanks for listening.